The wind was howling across the rugged coastline of western Norway, carrying with it the taste of salt and the sting of winter. The fjord below was a slab of dark steel, waves folding into themselves like silent anger. In a small, weather-worn house perched at the edge of the harbor lived a young man named Liam Anvik, a man who had once believed life would give him something. But lately, he felt life had taken more than it ever gave. He woke every morning to the same suffocating heaviness, a room too cold, a wallet too empty, and dreams too painful to look at. He would lay in bed longer than he should, staring at the cracked ceiling and wondering if this bleak stagnation, was all he was ever meant for. Poverty wasn't new to him. Loneliness wasn't new. Rejection had become a familiar knock on his door. But what frightened him most was how normal hopelessness was starting to feel, as if he was becoming the kind of person who didn't expect anything good ever again. One freezing December morning, after weeks of job hunting, he walked into the last shop in town he hadn't yet tried, a tiny marine supply store run by an elderly man with tired blue eyes. Liam handed over his CV with a silent prayer. The old man glanced at it, sighed softly, and said, "I'm sorry. You just don't have the experience we're looking for." That was it. The final blow. Liam stepped outside into the biting cold, walked around the corner, and collapsed to his knees. Snowflakes landed on his eyelashes while he pressed his palms to his forehead. "What's wrong with me?" he whispered. "Why am I not enough for anything?" His breath came out in broken clouds. People passed him, but nobody stopped. Nobody asked. Nobody cared. He was invisible. A ghost, trapped inside his own life. That night, he sat alone in his room, the only light coming from a cheap electric heater that barely worked. His phone buzzed. A message from the landlord. "Rent overdue. Final warning." He locked the phone and let his head fall into his hands. He felt the edges of himself crumbling. Why keep fighting when nothing changes? Why try when every door stays shut? What's the point? These were the thoughts that grew louder each night. Thoughts that tried to convince him that he had already lost. But somewhere deep inside, beneath the fear, beneath the doubt, a tiny spark refused to die. A spark that whispered, "Not yet." A week later, that spark would meet the moment that would change everything. It happened unexpectedly. Liam was walking along the pier one icy morning when he slipped, twisting his ankle sharply. He groaned and sat down on the edge of the dock, holding his leg. An older fisherman nearby heard him and approached. "You all right, kid?" he asked. Liam nodded weakly. "Just slipped." The fisherman looked at him for a long moment, as if he could see straight through him, past the clothes, past the cold, past the forced smile. "You're carrying more weight than that ankle," the man finally said. Liam looked up, confused. The fisherman sat beside him. "Pain," he said, "comes for all of us. But some people use it. Others drown in it." Liam shook his head. "Easy to say when you're not losing everything." The fisherman chuckled. "Son, I've lost more than you can imagine. My wife, my brother, my home. But I learned something the hard way. Life doesn't get easier. You get stronger." He tapped Liam's chest. "But only if you choose to." That sentence wouldn't leave Liam's mind. "You get stronger, if you choose to." That night, Liam lay awake, staring at the ceiling again. But something was different. His pain felt sharp, clear, like a knife instead of fog. He whispered into the darkness, I don't want to live like this anymore. And for the first time in months, he felt a small surge of fire in his blood. The beginning of discipline. The beginning of change. The next morning, he woke before sunrise. No snoozing, no excuses. He forced himself out of bed, put on the only running shoes he owned, and stepped out into the icy air. His breath came out like smoke. The world was still asleep. He started running. His legs burned. His lungs screamed. His mind begged him to stop. But he kept going. Step after step. Pain after pain. On the steep hill behind the town, he stopped, placed his hands on his knees, and whispered with a trembling voice, "This is where it starts." For the first time in years, he felt alive. Every day after that, he trained. He ran. He lifted stones because he couldn't afford weights. He did push-ups and burpees until his arms gave out. He showered in cold water to shock himself awake. He read books at the local library, books about discipline, mindset, resilience. He didn't need a perfect environment. He didn't need a fancy gym. He didn't need motivation. He needed decision, and he had made it. Days turned into weeks. His body grew stronger, but more importantly, his mind did. He started applying for jobs again, this time with confidence in his voice, a confidence no one recognized, not even himself. But life never changes without testing you first. One day, after what felt like progress, he received 10 rejections in a single afternoon. 10. He sat on a bench overlooking the frozen fjord, the wind cutting into his face. The old pain returned, the feeling of being small, worthless, stuck. He clenched his fists. He wanted to scream, to break, to give up. Then he heard something, a voice from memory, the fisherman's voice. Life doesn't get easier. You get stronger. Liam closed his eyes, tears freezing on his cheeks. I need to be stronger, he whispered. I have to be. He stood up, and he kept going. Months passed. His discipline was now unbreakable. He no longer waited for motivation. He created it. He no longer waited for opportunities. He hunted them. He volunteered at local events. He shadowed a carpenter for free just to lend skills. He cleaned boats at the harbor for pocket money, always showing up early, always working harder than anyone expected. People began to notice. Who's that kid? The one who works nonstop. The one who always says yes. Slowly, the town that once ignored him began to admire him. Not because he was lucky. Not because life suddenly became easy, but because he refused to quit. One day, the fisherman who had spoken to him months earlier approached him again on the pier. You look different, the man said. Liam smiled. I feel different. The fisherman nodded. Good, because I have something for you. He handed Liam a small piece of paper, a phone number. What's this? Liam asked. A friend, the old man said. He runs a construction company in Bergen. He's looking for disciplined workers, not skilled ones. Disciplined ones. The kind who don't break when pressure hits. Liam stared at the number, his heart pounding. Are you sure? I've watched you, the fisherman said. You earn this. Liam called the number that night with shaking hands. The man on the line asked him only one thing. Why should I hire you? Liam inhaled deeply and said, because I'm not the same man I was before, and because I will outwork anyone you have. There was a long silence. Then the man said, be here Monday morning. That Monday changed everything. The work was brutal. Long hours, heavy lifting, cold rain, little sleep. But Liam thrived. Pain became his companion, not his enemy. He pushed through fatigue. He pushed through fear. he pushed through doubt. Every day, he repeated to himself, I don't rise when I'm comfortable. I rise when I'm suffering. Over time, he was promoted, then promoted again. His paycheck grew. His confidence grew. His circle grew. His life transformed so dramatically that even he struggled to recognize himself. Years passed. One evening, Liam stood on a balcony overlooking Bergen, the city lights glowing beneath him like scattered gold. He had become a leader in the company. He was mentoring others. Young men who felt hopeless came to him for guidance, and he told them the same thing he once needed to hear. You're not broken. You're untested. His life was full now, full of purpose, growth, connection, and peace. But he never forgot the cold mornings on the hill, the empty nights, the rejection, the tears freezing on his face. Those moments had not defined him. They had forged him. And as he watched the city breathe below, he whispered into the wind, Thank you for the pain. Because without the suffering, he would still be trapped in that small wooden house. Without the struggle, he would never have discovered who he truly was. Then, one day, he returned to the pier, where it all began. The fisherman was sitting in the same place, staring at the sea. Liam approached him with a smile. You changed my life, he said. The old man shook his head. No, kid. I just reminded you of something you already knew, that the mountain you were trying to climb was inside you. Liam felt tears rise in his eyes. For the first time in his life, they weren't tears of pain, but gratitude. He extended his hand. Thank you. The fisherman clasped it firmly. Remember this, Liam. Pain is the price of greatness. Discipline is the path, and belief is your weapon. Never stop climbing. Liam walked away from the pier that evening, knowing one truth that would carry him through every storm for the rest of his life. If you choose strength, life cannot break you. If you choose discipline, excuses die. If you choose to rise, nothing can stop you. And so he rose, again and again, a living reminder that even the darkest winters eventually surrender to the light. And so must we. So if you're listening to this story right now, if you're feeling lost, stuck, rejected, or broken, hear this. Your pain is not your prison. Your past is not your sentence. Your fear is not your identity. You are stronger than you know. You are capable of more than you believe, and inside you is a mountain waiting to move. Stand up, breathe, decide. Not tomorrow, not one day, now. Because you don't rise when life is easy. You rise when life demands everything you have, and you give even more. And when your moment comes, when life tests you, when the world doubts you, choose discipline, choose courage, choose to rise, and never, ever give up. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories.